Hello everyone, my name is Edward Baranetsky. I'm senior software engineer, Alledium senior software engineer with a passion for backend technologies. And today I would like to talk about Apache Ignite migration tool, an open source tool which provides backups and database schema changes for Ignite cluster data. And before I tell you more about the Ignite migration tool, let's start with some history and reasons why we have developed it. So we with team were developing Alledium. It's AI solution aimed to fill or update Jira issues based on historical data. The what does matter for us here is that Alledium does use Apache Ignite as a distributed database and not only. So imagine these are our developers. They were writing code, and after some time, we have released Alledium. And you know what happened after? Our developers were still writing code. They introduced changes to entity classes, renamed some fields, removed, and even merged those entity classes. And when we wanted to release again, we have realized that data doesn't match current code. And here comes question what to do. And before creating our own solution, Ignite migration tool, we had an overview of existing technology. And here is why we haven't chosen those technologies. So those technologies provide limited API. Liquibase does not have integration with Apache Ignite. Flyweight has an integration, but is based on thin clients, and not all features are accessible from those thin clients and JDBC drivers if you use JDBC driver inside Liquibase. No support for native Java object, both for keys and values. Do you remember the affinity keys? They are just nested. They have nested objects inside them. No patches on Java when you are working with a team. It is a good thing to write all with one Java language because our team knows Java, and it is good for us to apply those patches on Java to create them and apply. Current Apache Ignite snapshots have its own limitations. So all the caches are included into snapshots. There is we cannot filter caches, and also in memory caches cannot be stored inside the Apache Ignite snapshots. Uh, and we wanted to base our Ignite migration tool on some reliable technologies. So let's see what technologies criteria we had. The first one is ability to store any data. It is very important because, as you know, the Apache Ignite can store any Java object. Um, those solutions have to be fast and compact because we are working with a lot of data inside Apache Ignite. Data size can increase to 100 of terabytes easily. Those technologies should provide rich API, especially for Java language, and be well documented and well supported. For those reasons, we have chosen Apache Avro as storing mechanism. We store our backups into Apache Avro files because it has a rich, extensible schema language and gives us ability to store any data. For data patches, we have chosen Apache Beam because it is popular framework which provides data transformations API for doing some data transformations, and has already integration with Apache Avro. So what does Ignite Migration Tool brings to the table? It brings CLI solution for preparing backups from Ignite cluster, as well as restoring backup data to another cluster. The CLI is based on Ignite client node. That's why it requires some flags properties, system properties to be set. First one is Ignite Home. It is for Ignite client node. Ignite Home config home is our custom property, which points to folder where client.xml is located. We need that client to configure Ignite client node to connect to Ignite cluster. The next flags are serialize and deserialize. Those flags are used to configure the CLI tool to prepare backup in case of serialize, and deserialize to read all the data from backup back to the Ignite cluster. For flag pass, I think it is obvious. So this is an example of such command. As you can see, we provide core Java jar with dependencies. This is special jar which includes all dependencies inside it and can be used as is. The next thing which Ignite Migration Tool provides is patch API. We call it inside the Ignite Migration Tool it like patch tools. That patch API is used for applying database changes, schema changes to the backups. And when we are speaking about changes being applied to backup, it is needed to note that we need no connection to Ignite cluster. Okay, so there were a lot of words about Ignite Migration Tool. We have spoken about its features, preparing backups and applying schema, database schema changes. And now let's look at some demonstration. Okay, let's imagine that we are developing the flights, a flight service, demo flight service, and inside that flight service, we use two caches, flight cache and flight profit cache. For those two caches, we have two entities. The first one is flight, and the second one is flight profit. I use Ignite Wizard in order to show all the data which is inside Ignite cluster. So let's see what caches do we have inside the Ignite cluster right now. I need to note that I use a Docker container in order to start and run Ignite cluster. My Ignite cluster for this example is only consisted only from one node because it fits us. So as we can see, we have two caches, flights cache and flight profit cache. Let's see what data do we have inside the flight profit cache. Let's see first 50 records. As you can see, flight profit cache has ID, income, and expense fields like it is in its entity. Let's also see the flight cache itself. I will show only one record because inside the flight cache we have such fields like ID, such fields like passengers list and airport. These are nested objects and are huge to be easy to demonstrate via Ignite Wizard. So I will let's see only one record. of the flights cache. As you can see, we have a lot of data inside it. That's because of passengers list. We have some passengers inside, and let me show it. We have some passengers, we have passengers list, we have ID, and let's try our Ignite migration tool. Let's try to prepare a backup of this Ignite cluster. So in order to prepare backup, I go to the Google go to the main page of Ignite migration tool. Here are packages. Let's go inside. And the Ignite migration tool provides core package. And we need only core jar with dependencies. I think it is it. Let's copy that jar inside our project like this, and let's try to prepare a backup. I will set for a backup folder named like backup. We'll set the flag serialize, which that means serialize all Ignite cluster data into our files, and let's run it. Okay, so the run was successful, and let's see where is backup folder. Okay, we've got the backup folder. Inside backup folder, we can see that for each cache, Ignite migration tool creates its own folder, like flights cache and flights profit. Inside cache .avro we store data of the cache itself, and inside configuration we store Ignite cache configuration itself in order to be able to edit it in the future. Okay, we have prepared backup, and now it is time to restore, to show how to restore that all data from backup into Ignite. For that purpose, in order to make it much more clear, I will just remove my running container and we'll restart a new one. So we'll have a clean Ignite cluster. Okay, let me just enter into Ignite Wizard. Let's see which containers do we have. We have only one container, and let's enter into Ignite Wizard. For this project, we can open a connection to Ignite cluster with default configuration. And right now, I need to activate that Ignite cluster. And let's see what cache do we have inside the Ignite cluster. As it is expected, we have no caches right now. So let's run again our CLI tool, but switch, let's change the serialize flag to deserialize in order to make the CLI to read all the data from backup and recreate all inside our Ignite cluster. Let's run it. Okay, so the run was successful, and let's right now see our caches inside Ignite cluster. As you can see, all the caches were recreated, and let's see how about the data which is inside those caches. Let's see flights profit cache as before. And as you can see, all the data was recreated successfully. And that's all about the CLI solution. Right now, I would like to show you Patch, Patch's API, which Ignite Migration Tool provides. For this, let's imagine that for some good reasons, some managers came to us and told us that we need field like passengers count inside the flight profit. And when thinking about this, from where we can get that field and fill with data? Of course, we can get that field from flight because the flight stores all the passengers list. And let me just switch to my another Git branch, which is called patches. Inside that, I have prepared patch data class, which uses patch tools API of Ignite Migration tool. As you can see, I provide source as a backup and destination as patch data. I will give some short explanation for this all code in order to make it more understandable for you what's going on here. So we set the source and destination into patch context. The patch context is a class, core class, which prepares some metadata about our cache. Then we use patch context to prepare and to patch cache which end with such name. So one of our cache is called flights profit cache, and we choose it right here and get back its path. In order to select all the data, we have select action developed from which comes from Ignite Migration tool. Let's see it. It comes from migration patch tools. Let's switch back. All the actions provide some actions which we can do with our cache data. And select action is used in order to select some fields from caches. Here we select fields from flight profit cache. And on the next line, we select fields from flight cache. Here we select key, ID, expense, income, and from flight cache, we select ID and passengers list. Passengers list we need in order to provide some value into the new passengers count field, which we are going to create into a flight profit cache. And the ID field is used in order to join this all data, as you can see like here. Okay, after the join, we copy field, use copy field action, we copy expense, and get a new field with name passengers count. After that, we use map action. Map action is kind of action which gives you all the API from Apache Beam. So here go rows from Apache Beam, and you can do any data changes inside this function, inside this lambda. As you can see, we get the row. We create a new row from that row. We fill a field value for the passengers count, which we have created on this step, on the copy field action step. And we fill it with data from passengers list. So we just get the passengers list and call the method size. Okay, after that, we need to filter fields because I don't want the passengers list appear inside flight profit because it shouldn't be there at all. That's why we should filter those fields and say what fields do we need. Um, and as a final step, we just pass all the actions into a cache writer. Cache writer executes all the actions and writes all the result to the destination. And it is set like this. At the end of this file, we just run patch context and run all the actions from the above. As I mentioned on the slides, patch tools does not require active connection to Ignite cluster. So let's just stop our Docker container and remove it completely in order to make it clear. So we have no Docker containers right now. And let's run the patch data. We have used as destination the patch data folder. And right now, we can see that a patch data folder was created in our project with the same with all the same caches, but the flight profit should contain the new field passengers count. So let's use our CLI solution in order to verify that. I will start a new Docker container with Apache Ignite cluster. Let me just use again the Apache Ignite wizard in order to see what data we have inside. So I enter that Docker container and go to the folder where Ignite wizard script is located. Okay, let's open the connection with Ignite cluster. Let's activate the Ignite cluster. Sorry. Let's activate and let's see what caches we have. We have no caches and this is expected. And let's right now run the CLI tool again, but let's set the source folder as the patch data. So we set the source folder, this one. And we are good to run this. Let's run. Okay, the run was successful, and let's see from Ignite Wizard which cache do we have. Um, we see all the same caches, and let's see flight profit cache. Let's see first future records. As you can see, inside flight profit cache, we have flight profit records with the following data. We have income, we have passengers count, we have ID and expense. So passengers count was successfully added via Ignite Migration Tool Patch's API. And with this, we solve this business task. That's all what I wanted to share. And want to show you what the CLI XML represents. It represents, in our case, just XML configuration, uh, standard XML configuration. It is as simple as possible, and it configures how we can connect to existing cluster. As you can see from this command, we set the folder of the cli.xml like this one. Okay, so if you are interested to to learn more about Ignite Migration Tool, you can open the Ignite Migration Tool itself. We provide we provide their we provide the run demo scripts. There are 3 scripts which show all what can you do with the Ignite Migration Tool and what the Ignite Migration Tool brings to the table. Okay, let me switch to the slides back. Let's talk about limitations and caveats of usage. So first of all, Apache Ignite Atomics are semi-automatic. I should note that we will support caches. We support Ignite Apache Ignite cache, persisted cache, as well as in-memory caches. Um, and in order to be able to store Ignite atomic longs, for example, you have 2 options. One of it is to implement Ignite atomic long names provider. The one benefit of this is that you will get Ignite instance, and you can fetch any data you want. The second option is to provide just system property Ignite atomic long names. It is comma separated list. So right now the tool doesn't support atomic references. The tool is at its early stages, and this means that its API is not stable. We can change the patch tools API, and we have plans regarding this. We want to improve it. We want to add patch version and apply them automatically. The tool requires more space for backups. For instance, if you have Ignite cluster of 100 terabyte, you will need 150 terabyte of free disk. I would say that this is not very true, but these are recommended settings. Maybe it will take 110 terabytes. Maybe it will take 115 terabytes. But we recommend to have more free disk space in order to avoid any issues with backups. Our vision for the future of the tool. First of all, we are going to use the tool in our product Alledium, so this Ignite Migration Tool is supported. Patch logic and API requires a lot of improvement. As I told, we would like to introduce patch versions. Um, Execution of the patch in place without backups is still under consideration, as you know from Liquibase or Flyweight. Those tools do not require you to prepare a backup before applying any patch. So this is under consideration. We would like to support all features of Apache Ignite, and basically would like to get feedback from community in order to validate that this project is useful not only for us. Here are some references. The first one is reference uh, to the demo project I have shown you, flight service. All code is on the GitHub, and you can try it, you can play it around and see how it works. That's all. Thank you for attention. Okay, so yes, the passengers count looks like trivial. Probably we can accomplish it without the Ignite migration tool, but I in this session I just wanted to show you concepts how to work with Ignite migration tool, because it is hard to prepare some complex case. It is hard to explain to someone the complex cases, and it is also hard to understand this. That's why I have chosen easy, this trivial case. But the API is not limited just for that. You can do uh, probably all the transformations with data you want, except you want something not standard, and you will have probably to implement our interface, our API, and add your implementations to make your not standard case work.
What about query entities from Apache Ignite? Are they supported?
Okay, as you have seen in my demonstration, I haven't used query entities at all, but we support the query entities. We support them in backups, and we support them also when patching. So when you patch the data, maybe you change a field, maybe you rename the field, maybe you just remove the field. We also reflect all the changes to query entities. So be sure that uh, this will be processed and supported by Apache Ignite migration tool.
Okay, great. And then the final question, what will happen if we read patched data into an existing Apache Ignite cluster which already has data?
This is an interesting question. As you will remember, the cache is key value storage for most cases. And the Ignite migration tool will simply override all the values by its keys. So, and you will have dirty data there. This is not recommended, but it will work. It will override your data.